Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
You wearing ratty jackets from Stephen Barry's.
And radio
Ham is the water of meats. Ham the water of meats.
Welcome back, and we are live on our StreamYard channel, our YouTube channel at 1620 The Zone TV, where our friend Jack Mitchell joins us live from Lincoln. It is Harbaugh Week. But before we get to Harbaugh Week, this was the Jack Mitchell Super Bowl. This is the game he pointed to before the season started, and it points to every year. I mean, this is the big one. This is the one where pride is on the line. So it must have been one of the most cathartic weekends in your life, in your not so young life, what happened in the stadium on Saturday night.
I think it's very clear to anybody who was following me on the internet. I was enjoying everything about it. It was great. I mean, let's not overstate it. I've got many foes, individuals, others that I would like to see go down, and I would savor seeing them lose and suffer like Northwestern did. But yeah, this was up there. It was wildly pleasant. There's no doubt about it.
Well, even so, all the pain and suffering that Northwesterners caused. I mean, they're of all the things there. I'm sure that there is, there's not many other teams besides, I'll say Iowa, because obviously you got the whole in-laws thing. Mm-hmm. But outside of Iowa, isn't this the team you want Nebraska to beat most? And not just beat, but beat.
Yeah, I think. Outside of Iowa, I don't know. Listen, John. I think it was a line in the movie City Slickers. If hate were people, I'd be China. You know, there's so much to go around. So yes, it's why it was. I'll just say this. Yes, it was wildly pleasant. I was very happy with how it went down. I had fun tweeting about it after the fact. It was great. It was wonderful. I don't care to put it in. Listen, it's not the next Mike Rozier of games. I don't want to go there. It was a good game. That's all I want to say. That's all. That's the only place.
What did you think of the press conference? You know, Frost made it very clear from the first answer. I know you guys in the media are propping things up, and then he brings up, Yant's not the next Mike Rozier. Don't make these guys out to be the next Dave Remington. I mean, I almost want him to say, Scott, just sit back, just enjoy this, just enjoy tonight. But I get where he's coming from.
No, I mean, I think, he got bit on those previous ones before, but yeah, no, it was great. And I guess the thing I liked about it too was just the class of Pat Fitzgerald in losing. I mean, he lost the right way, and just to give an opportunity to Nebraska and those home fans. It just shows how much he loves his team and loves the players. And I walked away from that game excited about the new offensive line, excited about the downfield passing attack, the option attack. Those things were nice, but man, it's hard not to have even the third to fourth quarter thing. It's hard to have not that not overshined by Pat Fitzgerald's exuding class. It's just that's what I think everyone took away when they walked away from that stadium. That and just his belief in his players.
I'd like to know what he was upset about. There was a moment, and you were in the stadium. We were watching on TV. I don't think TV really outlined it, but apparently there was a moment where he was upset when one of his linemen got hurt. Did you see any of that?
I couldn't tell. It seemed like there were about 18 linemen who got hurt, so I don't know which one that I would actually pick. It happened constantly, but I was way up in the 600 level in the East New Edition Stadium. So
yes, we know. We all saw your beautiful picture.
I wouldn't have even been, I could barely spot, even though the love for the game was exuding off of him like a halo, I could barely even tell which one Pat Fitzgerald was from that point.
The light show. Everyone's making it, we talked about it earlier. Nick's not a big fan of the choice of music. I thought it was a great choice of song, but that's beside the point. What did you think You were in the stadium. I believe you were also in the stadium when they busted out the Clear My Throat for the first time. Were you not?
No, I wasn't there for that.
Oh, you weren't. Okay. Well,
no.
either way, what did you think? What did the people around you think?
Okay, so I'm going to get crushed for this. I was in the stadium. I did see it, first of all. But. So I went to this game with my whole family. It's only the second time I've ever gone to a game with my whole family, John. You know them, Johnny and little Gertrude, and
how
my
was
wife.
Gertrude, by the way?
She was great, but as you know, she's an 11-year-old. I would say her in her sports interest rankings, Nebraska volleyball is about 10,000 times higher on it than Nebraska basketball for her, or excuse me, Nebraska football for her. Nebraska basketball would be above football too, but she was a good sport and she went. But we got to the fourth quarter, and I said, okay, if they're up and it's completely out of sight, we'll think about leaving a little bit early. And so fourth quarter comes, and we're starting to gather up our stuff. And I turn around, and we're going out the back, the back concourse here at 600. We're going to start walking down because they've got closings, and it's really hard to get to our car. It was going to take forever. And then I hear that highlight like montage they're playing, and they're playing Smells Like Teen Spirit behind it. And I said to my son when we were walking out, I was like, that's a really weird. It just struck me at the moment as a really weird song for a highlight montage at the time. I mean, it rocks, but it was weird. And then I'm just going through the door into the concourse, and it gets to the beginning of this, they cut into the lyric with the lights out, and everything goes off, and we run back into the stadium to see what in the heck is going on. And turn around, and goodness sakes, the lights are off. Everything's red. There's flames going out of the ground. I didn't know what to. I was
you thought Danny was coming back from the grave.
I had no idea. I thought I had entered some sort of a seance. Yes, for Bob Devaney. So it was really cool. Here's where here's what I think about Thunderstruck was fine. Here's what I hope for that thing. I hope they change the song every time. I hope it's a different song, and the light show is the thing, not the song. Okay, so that's my hope for it. Thunderstruck it was good. It was fine for that first one. It's just not unique enough to sort of be the calling card for that thing. The visuals should actually be the calling card, and then change it up with a different song every week. That's what I hope they do.
So it's not as unique as, say, using an instrumental from Alan Parsons.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid that, right?
Sure.
Or House of Pain, Jump Around, which everybody thinks Wisconsin's the only person who's ever.
Which, by the way, did you watch any of that Wisconsin game? Fox is obsessed with this now. Wisconsin's been on 3 times on Big Noon Kickoff. They have shown the jump around in its entirety all 3 times. It's getting to the point of overkill.
First of all, you say jump around like an old man. It's jump around. It's not jump around. It's jump around. When you say it all, you can tell your age when you say that. So
jump around.
Yeah, I did watch a Wisconsin game. And John, was that finally it? Was that finally the final straw in giving Wisconsin this ridiculous benefit of the doubt that they've gotten because of some sort of mythical level of physicality and offensive line play? I mean, let's look at the last 5 years. Yeah, they've had good points. They had that one year they went and beat Miami. They'll go to the Big Ten championship, but they also have just as many average or below average seasons mixed in there. What year they were ranked 4th in the preseason? And they went 500 during the year. It happens every other year with this team. When are we going to stop giving that team the benefit of the doubt all of the time? They stink. They stink. And Mertz.
Well, in fairness, the offense stinks. Defense is really good. That offense is terrible. But yes, okay. I understand your overall point.
They generally stink. Graham Mertz basically was given the Heisman after one game. Do you remember that Illinois game last year, John? That Friday night? Mertz was 19 for 20.
I do. And then I anticipated, the following week with Nebraska. Oh, wait, that didn't happen.
Well,
you know what? It makes you wonder if they hadn't been out because of COVID and they'd have played the next week.
Yeah.
I mean, what that would have done. But yeah, you're right. Graham Mertz
is mythical. He was mythical. I mean, Cohen went and left because of him. And so, honestly, I'll say this. It will be a disappointment if Nebraska does not beat that team. It will be an absolute disappointment. I mean, we can talk about Michigan. We can get into Michigan.
Oh, God.
But it will be
set us up for this.
It will be Nebraska should absolutely beat that Wisconsin team. Absolutely.
Where are you on the scale of
fire him?
No. He's not here.
I'm so mad he's not there.
I know.
I was ready to troll him all day.
Trust me, people have been waiting to troll him all weekend, but
it's gonna be great if he gets back, by the way, and they win next week, because then it's gonna be like a relic of history that he said that. It's gonna be like barroom trivia. Hey, remember that weird time in 2021 before Nebraska went on like the best possible 2-game winning streak you could imagine? That weird Omaha radio host said to fire Scott Frost. Yeah.
On the scale of this is we're going to use this is who we thought we were, Nebraska, as a 10,
okay,
versus Northwestern really sucks 1. Where are you after this game on that scale? Because that was one of the arguments out of the weekend was, but Northwestern was really bad. Whereas most people are saying, man, this is what Nebraska can be right here. Where are you on that scale when you watch that game?
I'm slightly toward this is, I'll say like 7 in favor of this is what Nebraska is.
Okay.
6.5 to 7,
okay.
I would say. And part of the reason, John, is we've seen Nebraska against equal or probably lesser teams than Northwestern. You were talking in the open about how you could probably argue between Northwestern and Illinois right now, but Nebraska hasn't taken care of business in these games in the past, in a lot of cases, in a whole lot of cases. And this time they absolutely left no doubt with it. And so, yeah, now the question is, can you continue it? Does that come up again? But the team played, it wasn't just about Northwestern that they played their best game by far under Scott Frost, by far under Scott Frost. And had that team came up against Illinois or Fordham, or frankly, against Michigan State, Oklahoma. Yeah. So
that team beats Oklahoma.
Yeah,
because at the very least, they don't make enough special teams errors to warrant losing
their
that
extra points. Right. Exactly. And so that's why I answer the question the way that I do. It's not to deny blowing out Northwestern is not the pinnacle of Big Ten success, but you play like that. I don't know. I think you win next week. I think you probably do. But again, they played as well as they ever have under Scott Frost.
No, I don't doubt it in the least. The thing that I was expecting Nebraska defensively to shut them down. In fact, I even predicted a shutout, which it's that close. What surprised me was the overall level of dominance from the offense, and maybe even more so the aggression in play calling. I mean, coming out, calling the pass play and taking the deep shot on the first play of the game. First of all, I'm surprised you didn't fall out of the 600 level because you're Mr. Bomb the ball guy.
It's great.
But just the aggression that they showed early on, it set a tone. And I know it's a 56-7 win, so you can't just say, well, one play could have made the difference between 56-7 and another nail biter. But if Toure doesn't make that adjustment, and let's say the pass gets intercepted, who knows? With the team mentally in a weird spot, you never know where they could be. But just the aggression that they showed, I thought was probably the most surprising thing from Saturday night.
And they've showed it a little bit this year. But you know what? Yeah. That game on Saturday was the pinnacle. And I'm curious if you agree with me on this. That was the closest thing to the offense that we pictured when Scott Frost was hired by Nebraska, right?
Oh, easily.
I mean, when we were having our illusions at the time of grandeur and we're going to dictate to the Big Ten and all of those things, we were picturing the Central Florida Oregon offense, right? I mean, those are the things that we were thinking of. The quick strike, right? The 3-play drives, the bomb in the ball, the running games, the kind of the gadget running plays with the offense. It took them until this point, I think, to have that offense look like that offense that we thought of. They had to get over 3 years of horizontal passes, essentially. And I honestly don't know the reason for it. If it's all about personnel, if it's that much about personnel, if it's that much about Adrian, if it's that much about the wide receivers. But to me, that's the most exciting thing about this offense is for the first time from a scheme perspective, and they're still certainly imperfect. I don't know if the offensive line issues are fixed or not. Adrian's had great moments. He's been better than I could have expected. He still has his mistake moments. We know that too. But the scheme now, for the first time in 2021, looks to me like the Scott Frost offense I felt like I was promised, like the Scott Frost scheme with the take a little Oregon, take a little Central Florida, take a little option that Scott Frost actually ran in there and take the deep ball. That was it. Like, that to me is the most exciting thing right now, and probably why I respond, kind of like I did to Josh last week about his things, because that's a level of progress that is, to me, that's unbelievably significant to be able to have this offense start. I don't know why it took so long. We can be critical about the fact that it took this long. It's still not perfect, but that's exciting to me.
I said this on Saturday night on the call-in show. If you're a Nebraska fan, and those are all great points, by the way. I really hadn't heard anyone talk in those terms about the offense that was promised, but as you think it through, it's like, yeah, it really was. I mean, it was a little bit of everything.
I was not picturing horizontal passes when he had that first press conference. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, neither was I. The biggest takeaway that I had, and I think that a lot of Husker fans should have, is remember where it was before the season. The Illinois game was going to be the most important game of the year, because if they don't win that, everything could just circle the drain. Well, then Illinois happened, and it was a loss. Yet they managed to push through and almost beat Oklahoma. Then we said preseason, the Michigan State game was going to be the next most important game, because it was theoretically going to be after a big blowout loss, and how are they going to respond from that? Well, they actually were coming off a good performance against Oklahoma and should have beaten Michigan State, and lost in the most groin-kicking way possible. And then this happens. Twice we identified two games that Nebraska had to have, and they had to look good in, and they had to perform, because without them, this whole season would be a disaster, and all the worst case scenarios would be in play. And then look what happened on Saturday. And now you're going into a game against an undefeated top 10 team, and it's almost a pick 'em.
Yeah.
This has been, we have gone through so many roller coasters, Jack, and you and I have been together for a lot of them, really starting with the Bo Pelini era. This is the craziest roller coaster yet.
It is. But what happened, and this gets back to what I was arguing with Josh about last week. Yes, we said the Illinois game, throw the Illinois game. That was an abject failure. That was, it was terrible. It was, everybody regrets it. It shouldn't have happened. It feels fluky, whatever. However you want to describe it. That was a terrible loss. But then, we made the Michigan State game, the biggest game. And the Oklahoma game you expected to be a blowout. The special teams, yes, the special teams were an issue. It's not excusable. It's a problem. But to me, it still pales in comparison. Even though it's stupid, even though you couldn't believe that they could make those mistakes over again, it still pales in comparison to the progress that has been made in other places. To me, I had not seen that yet. I did not expect to see that yet in the losses to Oklahoma and the losses to Michigan State. You come out of it, you're so furious about the missed extra points and the bad punts and those things, but the other things that there were improvements in saved those from being season-ruining losses, especially Michigan State. We were wrong on that Michigan State game about it impacting part of the reason we made it that big game,
we were
John.
wrong on the Illinois game.
Right. But we were, yes.
How the team has responded. Maybe not how we as a collective have responded, but certainly as the team has responded.
I think we believe they lost that Michigan State game in the way that some expected them to go down there, get their butts kicked, to have the offense be a disaster. I think it impacts the team's psyche in a terrible way, and there's no way we see what we saw on Saturday. I think the Oklahoma game is the same thing. I think those games, they came away absolutely believing that they were the better team and that they should have won, and I think we did not see those scenarios coming in those games. Okay. We thought that, if they play even up to their best potential, they're still going to lose in these games. But I think that affected the team's psyche in a way that we didn't see. And that's why you got what you have on Saturday. And now you're on a precipice where another of these games are coming up. On the other hand, this one, it feels like what can be gained is more than what can be lost with this game against Michigan. But, in a different way than I think what we would have said about some of those other games.
So another 1 to 10 question. 1 being you're bracing for another kick to the nuts. 10 being I'm believing wholeheartedly that this is the start of something big. Where are you now?
Well, do you mean for this week or for the rest of the season? I guess.
It's really for this week.
I don't. Man.
So there's different answers for you. So to go back to your last answer, this game isn't as, if there is such a word, referendum-y as maybe other games have been.
I don't know. I think you. Again, I think I think you win this game, and it absolutely. It still doesn't get rid of that Illinois loss, but it changes. Again, Josh will look like an absolute idiot on Monday if they win this game. It will be one of the most embarrassing days of radio the city of Omaha has ever seen when he comes back for that if they win this game.
If they schedule another marathon just in case.
But if they lose that game, I do, I still think I don't think all is lost in that situation. I'm not going to jump on Josh's bandwagon with that whole thing. So I don't know. I have a combined feeling, John. Right now, there's a part of me that thinks everything went too well last Saturday, and then
the payback's coming. Mm-hmm.
And every time I saw most of Michigan playing Washington, they looked great in that game. I saw a lot of that Michigan-Wisconsin game. Their defensive line, you and Gary were talking about it earlier, but man, they're ridiculous. And how that matches up against still what is probably Nebraska's weakness of any position unit, I wonder about that. It's that the offense is going to have Adrian's going to be under some pressure, regardless of the changes that they've made in this thing.
He is, but if Nebraska can make Michigan one dimension, and that one dimension is throwing, this is going to be real interesting.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Listen, Nebraska will have the better quarterback, easily the better quarterback on the field on Saturday.
I expect it to be a good game. I'll say that.
Well, I do too, and I'm not trying to tip a prediction or anything.
No, I know. No, but you were asking me about my level of confidence in it.
Yeah, one is a groin kick and is ultimate optimist.
I expect it to be a good game. I still think it's an uphill battle for Nebraska with the matchup at this point. But that said, you've heard me say that I still feel I still think you get to 6 wins, and I think that is a huge line in terms of seeing actual progress. And I still believe baby steps are going to be. I still believe this program, this fan base should celebrate baby steps. I think everybody's still somehow spoiled with this whole thing. And so I think you got to have baby steps. And I still think that's very much in play. Again, I think you should beat Wisconsin. You don't get Michigan. Can you beat Minnesota, Purdue, and Wisconsin?
Yes.
Are you favored in all 3? Maybe. I don't know. Probably not Wisconsin, but it's close. Maybe. Mm-hmm. So
we'll have some new projections that were rather interesting later on in the program. But yeah, you're right. Those 3 games are definitely in play. And let's face it, based on the point spread this week, this game's in play.
Yeah, it's interesting. They obviously the Vegas folks, when you add in the home field advantage, or that comes, and that'll be significant. That'll be significant on Saturday
night game.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this has become the game to watch because Texas A&M's not as good, and this is the one night game that CBS gets every year, and it's going to be Alabama, Texas A&M. Especially if Nebraska keeps it close and it's a barn burner, you could have a lot of people flipping over to watch a great helmet matchup.
That's why I say there's the chance to exercise demons in this game are so significant. The big game that the nation is watching. How many times has Nebraska fallen flat in that over the years? How embarrassing has that been? Go back to the Ohio State game. This is for whatever reason, this is it. And Michigan got bumped to the forefront, and Michigan as a brand already is kind of there as well. If you can get this win, the things you gain from that win are bigger probably than anything you've lost from the losses this year. It really is. And then all of a sudden, getting to a bowl looks like an expect. It almost looks near elementary at that point if you get there. So.
Well, listen, nobody likes to enjoy when someone is wrong more than Josh. If this win happens, next week's Jack Mitchell segment will be rather interesting to say.
I mean, listen, that's the danger of coming out with that take at that point in the season. That is the absolute. And I know you held off, and I know you might have agreed with him at some point had things gone completely wrong.
Listen, I said last week they're definitely trending in that direction, but I was, and I wanted to stay true to what I had said 4 years ago. One of the advantages of hiring Scott Frost is that there will be a little bit more rope, and that can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing too, but if things move in the right direction, absolutely, you don't want to make a switch, because if they can replicate more of what they did on Saturday for the second half of the season, then the hopes and dreams and promises of 4 years ago are back in play.
Right. John, if they can do it on Saturday, any discussion that I think already any discussion that there was of that is probably over at the highest levels. But if it goes well on Saturday, that's going to be the coldest. It's going to seem like a year ago that Josh said that. It's going to be such a, again, like I said, barroom trivia for the future. Yeah, remember that weird time? Remember that weird host that was like, well, what are we doing here? But he's having to fire him, and then they play the best games of their lives. Man, imagine
here to defend himself. All
Sorry,
right,
show up to work.
Listen, this is going to be a fun week. It's always good to look forward to a big matchup, especially when you have a traditional power like this coming in. So let's enjoy this week. You don't get many of these.
Let's do. And Nebraska plays Michigan once every 7 years. They play like Southern Miss more often than they play Michigan and
South Alabama
teams. And I'm looking forward to the day your show where you dedicate to completely relitigating the 1997 national championship. And let's figure it out. What would have happened had those teams met? Finally, once
we are not doing any of that this week.
I went a full day on Friday.
All right. Have a good week. We'll see you. That's Jack Mitchell, our friend from Lincoln at KLIN. We'll come back. We've got more coming up. Steve Sipple will join us in about 25 minutes. And we've got some drama playing out this afternoon that we'll get to next here on Sportsmanlike Conduct and 1620 The Zone.
So